Yeah, if you want, I mean, you can probably, you know, look with the phone a little bit. I mean, it'd be a pain to undo this, but I theoretically I could open it.
So this is the one. This is the one to use.
No, I think this is the spare one.
Yeah, this is the one to use.
Oh, why is that?
Because it's got the injector unit on it. So this is a later engine. This is the one you want to use.
Oh.
That one is a boat anchor, probably.
You're kidding.
Well, not a boat anchor.
Yeah.
That's offensive. It's a nice ornament for your office.
Really?
It's too early a mod state.
Oh. Oh, but it would have some parts in it that would be good.
Hardly any, apparently.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. It's amazing how it works.
Kidding.
But this is what you want, because this is a really late engine.
Right.
It's obviously still a Sabre, it's still going to fit in a Sabre-sized hole.
Right.
But it's got all the benefit of being late and having been developed and mod states and all that good stuff that you want. If you want to fly behind it, this is the thing to fly behind.
I don't know what this green is, but it looks to me like
that's the Napier colour. That's the colour they painted.
Are you kidding me?
No, they were green.
I'll be darned.
Yep.
So,
because the other one looks lovely and it's black and bits are plated and all that kind of stuff. And it should stay looking lovely. And we can use that while this is being done to fit all the pipe work and make everything go to the right place. And then kind of do an engine change and put this in.
Well, at some point then, maybe that airplane just gets dolled up a little bit and becomes a display engine next to the airplane, because otherwise it just looks like, oh, it's a Merlin in there.
But yeah, unfortunately, it's got barely any interchangeable parts, which shows you how much they developed the engine.
Wow. I mean, so early on, they would have been probably building these and developing them in 43, 44?
Even earlier than that.
Earlier than that, okay.
Because the Tempest V is 1940, I think late 43, isn't it? Or early 44, I want to say. 44,
I mean, all I know is they were chasing buzz bombs.
That's a 1944 aeroplane anyway.
Right.
So, yeah, but this engine, carried on post-war.
Right.
And this will be a post-war engine.
Wow.
And so it's got all the benefit of there not being a rush on.
So anybody else out there that has, like, there's a Typhoon project in Canada, a Typhoon project in Canada, and there's one in England. Yeah. What are they doing for motors?
They've got early ones, which is, I mean, I should try and not be too disparaging about them, shouldn't I? But as a pilot of an aeroplane, I mean, that is like flying around behind a hand grenade with the pin out.
Really?
It's a matter of time before it lets go.
Oh my God.
Whereas
are there any other ones of these available?
I'm not aware of any.
Wow. I mean, so what they scrapped them all? Didn't they use these in like airliners?
They got used in airliners, they got used in trains.
You're kidding.
They must be around. Let's face it, it's a nightmare to scrap, isn't it?
Well, just FYI, something that we ought to do. Because I got the other one to trade.
Yeah.
Maybe that one becomes a nice.
Say it's such a boat anchor.
No, it's a Australian. Go find another one that we can use for the deal.
Yep. So most of these, when you see them, and in this colour, they are in museums sectioned. Like there's one in the Science Museum in London that I was looking at just the other day that's been sectioned only partially, and actually the thing to do is probably trade that engine for a section.
So you just have spare parts. Oh yeah, okay.
That's it. So they get a really nice looking engine for their museum that isn't sectioned. Yeah, okay. And you get the really useful engine for this, which normally all the ones I've seen have got a propeller hub on the front.
Okay. Well, they could have a whole propeller over there with the red and white blades.
So yeah, but no, this is it. This is the thing, and it's this injector, if nothing else, that makes it the thing to use.
Oh my God.
But obviously we'd want them both initially just to make sure that there are no interchangeable bits.
No, that sounds great. Now, the other engine has got the shotgun starter, which I thought it'd be cool, but if that's really early, what did this use?
This would probably, I think, maybe even still use a shotgun start, but we need to figure out how to put an electric starter on it, simply because the shotgun start cartridges are not available.
You could have them made, but you know, it's kind of like, you know, it'd be interesting to go down the parallel path of what you could do, because if you were going to use it as a display airplane, it's like having a Huck starter, coming in and starting up a Hawker Demon or something like that. And
but that's, you know, whatever, we can overcome. Well, we must have some spark. There's no plug.
But I can't remember, because at some point, I don't think it was this engine. I thought it was the other engine. You could ask Tony Bianchi that we sent down to Ricardo's, and they looked at it and said, "Oh yeah, we think this thing would work."
Well, it will work. It's just for how long. But when you've got the thing that will work, you know, this was probably at least 1,000-hour TBO engine. So,
okay, that doesn't.
You know, I know that you fly a lot, but I'd be impressed if you put 1,000 hours on your Tempest V.
Oh my God, that's freaking awesome.
So yeah.
Huh. So I looked all over this thing, trying to find a data plate, and
so the mod plate that you found, that mod plate there, that was really useful.
Okay.
Because that enabled us to see everything about this engine.
Huh.
And that's how we kind of know.
This appears to be like an original crate and stand for the Napier.
Yeah, and the ones you see in museums are always on those as well.
Oh, okay.
So that's obviously the original way of supporting it. And interestingly, if you look at it, you'll find that this actually fits on, see that there? That is to mount on the engine mount tube of a Tempest. So it's got the engine mount already on it. Now, obviously that could be
it could be soft aluminum or something. Yeah.
And of course, you've already got that bit anyway.
But does it recognize this at all? Or
that's one of the gearboxes. So it'll be the top one. It's that one there. So it's that.
Oh, it's a spare.
Whole gearbox assembly with that.
This thing is just bottom line.
But isn't it clever? Like you take you take the top two cowlings off, and you've got every ancillary.
Oh, on the top.
Yeah. And what's the main thing you're gonna have a problem with? Well, ancillaries normally.
Yeah.
So you literally take the top two panels off, and you're there.
I'll be darned.
And I think, unless I'm mistaken, it's got a bottom sort of gearbox right now, doesn't it? Well, I am mistaken. But it's kind of the same deal that you've got, everything's in one place. So you pull one panel off and you can get to everything.
And is this carburetor or fuel injected?
It's an injector unit. So it's not direct port injection like a DD605.
Right.
But it is an injector unit. So fundamentally, it's much more precise on the fuel it's delivering.
So it's not going to each cylinder; it's just going to a thing.
Correct. In the same way as a Stromberg carb with a Mustang does.
Interesting.
You know, it's an air metering unit with a jet.
Huh.
So that will be the fuel jet. So that's all your metering, and then that is the actual fuel delivery.
Oh my gosh! So is this like a filter for something?
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Yeah, it's got to be. It's like an external oil filter. But it will be another one of those things that they figured out that they needed.
Yeah, you could put rum in there is what I'm thinking.
Naked in Jamaica.
If you're in the UK, I'd say you'd get a litre in there, but it's no use here.
Yeah.
But it's in great shape because it's never been touched.
Unbelievable. That's a big shift in my understanding of things, because I thought the other one was going to be the engine.
I mean, look, I'm not saying it's completely gospel, but certainly the guy I have spoken to about doing this engine, I sent him all the pictures you sent me of both, and he went, yeah, this is the one.
Wow.
In a moment. Because he's looked at doing that other one for the Typhoon project guys and actually said no because of the mod state.
Wow.
Because it's too early.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, just FYI for the viewers out here, this is a sleeve, 24 cylinder sleeve valve. So the exhaust comes out here, and then you got 6 exhausts on each side. So it looks like a V12, but it's a H24 basically.
But it's still small capacity. Like the engine itself is only, I think it's just under 30 litres.
Okay, what's that in like?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Can you give it to me in cubits?
I can Google it, yeah.
Yeah. So basically what happens is a normal piston engine that most of us are used to has an intake and an exhaust valve, okay? But what this one does, the piston goes up and down. There's a sleeve valve that's got exhaust and intake ports in it that goes up and down and rotates at half the rate the piston goes up and down. So it's just bizarre. The Centaurus,
Yeah, Centaurus is the same.
Pegasus.
But the clever thing about it is, once it's timed, it's timed. There's no tappets, there's nothing, it's all just set. So theoretically, with this engine, subject to the ancillaries all staying working,
Right.
all you ever need to do is clean the spark plugs.
Really?
That's the benefit of a sleeve valve. You time it when you build it.
So there's no adjustment, like adjusting a mag for
That's it.
timing
So it
or
can't
whatever.
change. It can't go out of valve timing.
Really?
And you can't adjust the valve timing.
But there's no valves.
No.
There's just the
That's it.
ports.
So-
and the ports were basically cut out based on the timing of
Exactly.
the... But I mean, it's one thing, the piston's going up and down and you got rings in there.
Yep.
And this has rings as well.
Yep.
But it just seems to me you've got all this friction of not only the piston going up and down, but now you got... So is there rings on the outside of the sleeve
I don't
valve?
believe so.
I
no.
don't think there is
Mainly
either.
oil, and the oil's normally running at total loss, which is why, like, you'll see a Centaurus taxi in and it's smoking well. This will smoke when you taxi it in, because as the oil's hot, it's bypassing more, so it goes up the outside of the sleeve and then just gets burned, just gets combusted.
Oh, kind of like Jim
So-
Carrey. Smoking.
But when you look at a Centaurus, it gives you a graph of what it should use of oil per hour.
Oh.
And if it doesn't burn it, you've got a problem.
Oh, because then it's not lubricating
That's
properly.
it. Yep.
Man, and nobody's heard one of these since
No.
the 50s. And now my next question is there any videos of these flying that
I
have
think
sound?
there's one that I've seen, but I wouldn't know because I can't tell you because no one's heard one to compare it to. So,
Well, no, but there's no pictures of a formation of Tempest V's coming?
or a takeoff for it. No.
Oh, my God.
That's one of the things I'm most excited about because we'll have to run this on a test stand.
Oh,
anyway.
yeah.
And it just the
Oh.
first time it fires up, that's going to be a hell of a day.
Oh, my
Anyway, I'm
gosh.
getting ahead of myself,
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
excited as you can tell.
Okay, so this is it. This is
This is the
interesting.
colour.
All right, well, let's go look at the fuselage. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like you've seen it before.
Yeah, I never really looked very closely at it.
Okay, and then these are all the cowling formers that were done
Yep.
to make the chin scoop, and you know, we'll go see that there on the side pieces. So, oh man, we were so lucky that the RAF Museum had theirs down, and we borrowed the.
Yeah, without it, you'd have a whale of a time.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So go take a peek. I mean, Andy was working on it too, you know?
Yeah.
You know, you can stand up here and take a peek, but
Yeah, he's got it a long way along.
but you know, like you said, I remember you were talking something about the tubing and where you could find out what they did.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, does it need to be?
So this looks like 5052 T0 aluminium, so it's soft aluminium pipe. So it's okay for pneumatics,
Okay.
but you probably would want to change it for the hydraulic system.
Okay.
But in all fairness, I don't think there's any hydraulic system in. So I think actually he's just piped the pneumatics
Okay.
in the correct pipe.
Okay.
Because let's face it, Andy knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Well, you
So
can,
I've no reason
you can
to-
always call Andy too.
Yeah, I've
so.
no reason to think he would have. No,
Yeah.
this is all pneumatic.
Okay, I thought you were going to say this was zero.
Oh, this?
Yeah,
no, sorry. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting quandary.
Okay.
So I don't think this has ever been apart. I
Right.
could be wrong,
Yeah.
but I don't think this tubular structure has ever been apart. But why does it need to come apart? because the airplane had flown like 30 hours from the factory.
Right. Oh, you know that for a fact?
Yeah, that's his service record, was like 28 hours when it had an engine problem and a wheel.
So your dad went back and researched all this?
Either he did or someone did.
Okay.
But it's got just under 30 hours from manufacture. So why would we need to take these tubes apart?
Okay.
So I've teed up my NDT guys, and they can X-ray this.
Oh, great.
As is.
Oh,
and then we can see. And then if we've got corrosion, we'll deal with it at the time.
Right.
But trust me, you do not want to be replacing these tubes because we replaced 90% of them on the Tempest 2.
Really?
Because all those Tempests sat outside for so many years.
Right.
They were just corroded.
But the material's available and you can get it
so this
formed.
is, yes and no. This is T50 tubing, which you can't buy anymore.
Right.
So,
Which is what the Hurricanes got.
Yeah. So what we all end up doing now is getting T45, which is slightly less strong, but they call it premium selection T45. So you get T45 that's actually tested to T50 spec. Okay. So you can get it, but it's harder to find, particularly in the big sizes. And then you've got to square it all off where it needs squaring. And
Now, do you have to anneal it to do that?
No,
or
you just do it.
You just do it.
You put it through a set of rollers. It's one of those jobs that sounds easier when you say it fast, and then you see the machine that does it. You're like, oh dear.
Okay.
So we want all of this to go, and I'm sure it will. Why would it not?
Right.
You know, it got wheels up, and then it got put inside. It was category B damage, so beyond repair.
Oh, it had a wheels up?
Engine stopped, landed wheels up.
Okay, one of those early engines.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got to remember they were running wartime power.
Right.
So that no engine lasts very long at wartime power.
Right.
Let alone a complicated one.
Huh.
So, and then it was Cat B damage, so it's not suitable for repair in the field. So it needed to go back and be repaired. It's my understanding it went back to somewhere in Holland, I want to say, to be repaired, and then never got repaired. And then it ended up, but fundamentally, since that wheel's up, it's not then sat for 20 years outside. It's always been inside. So there is no reason for it to be corroded. I know my father had all these tubes X-rayed and there was nothing wrong with them.
Okay. Is that probably why the wings didn't end up coming with the
Yes, the wings got scrapped. That's what happened, was the wings, they were using, this was used as a test bed for repaired Sabres. So they had this fuselage, because of course it's got, unlike a Spitfire, you've got the radiator and oil cooler in the front. You've got everything you need in a fuselage, including a big fuel tank, to run an engine. So they had the wings off, they would have bolted it down with the wing attaches and put Sabres in the front when they'd repaired them and give them a good thrashing, and then took them out and put them in aeroplanes. And that's what it was used for. What's not clear is how it got from there, I can't remember what the location of that was, but how it got from that test bed use to then being in a technical college.
And where was the technical college?
Still in Holland.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then, anyway, so the RAF Museum ended up with it, and then my father ended up with it, trading it for a Tempest 2.
Huh.
And here we are. So, yeah. But no, Andy's got it further along than I realised. I mean, you know, he's got fuel valves in it. There's a lot of stuff in there that is a pain if it's not in there.
Right.
So...
and you can always call Andy too, you know?
Of course.
Yeah.
And things like the oil tank, if you had to make that, it'd be a nightmare. It's a big job. And this big fuel tank, which is constructed in the same way as that oil tank, you do not want to have to make that.
So, I mean, that's not enough fuel to run the airplane. What's it's got in the wings?
Well, it's got a woefully small amount of fuel.
Right.
That is the problem with the Tempest, and that's why certainly the Tempest 2s, when you see them in India and stuff, they're nearly always running a drop tank. But I'm just trying to remember exactly how many gallons it is, but it's not enough gallons.
Right.
So this is one big tank from right at the top, kind of cuts in here. This is the mounting for it.
Right.
And then it runs all the way down to the bottom. It's got a big curve on the bottom, and it's in one of the boxes.
Yeah. And so how much fuel is this?
80 gallons.
80, and what's in the wings?
29, 29, 29. So
that's it.
That's it. So 3 29-gallon tanks in the wings, 180.
Okay, so not even 200 gallons? Not even 100?
Oh no, definitely not 200 gallons. I want to say it's 180 gallons, something like that, broadly.
Oh, this thing's got to burn 100 gallons an hour.
Yeah, well you think a Centaurus, this is not one for Greta Thunberg, but a Centaurus at full power on takeoff in a Sea Fury, we've got a fuel flow indicator, 320 US gallons an hour at takeoff power. That's what it's burning.
Wow.
So you've not got long, is what I would say.
Oh my God, I had no idea. Yeah. I don't understand. So what was the mentality of the Brits where the Spitfires didn't go anywhere?
No.
And then the Mustang comes along and flies for 8 or 9 hours.
But it's horses for courses, isn't it? You know, a Spitfire is an interceptor. It's designed to take off, climb fast, shoot the pitifully small amount of ammunition it's got, and land. You know, it's waiting for the things to come.
Right.
Well, same with this, really. This was an interceptor, albeit a heavy interceptor. Yeah. Whereas a Mustang was an escort fighter.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've flown both. You fly a Mustang and you do 10 minutes of aerobatics in your shoulder blades.
Yeah.
Whereas you fly a Spitfire for 10 minutes of aeros and you might move your wrist occasionally, but it's finger and thumb. And that's because it's unstable, because it needs to be. Whereas a Mustang needs to be stable because it's an interceptor, so it needs to fly for 10 hours.
Interesting.
But yeah, but this is great. So, you know, we'll definitely want to get this. This is a big steel casting through, steel forging, sorry. Right. And we'll definitely want to get that NDT'd. I've seen cracks in those from the manufacturer.
And you know, anything like little air valves and stuff, they probably all need to be just looked at again because it's sat for a while. And what did Andy do? What did your father do? You know.
So what we would do is we'd just the manuals are great, and we can whip those out, test them in accordance with the manual, and if they work, then great. And then we can pop them apart, make sure the seals, make sure it's going to keep working, and then just crack on. So no one of these is a huge job.
Yeah, okay.
And we do have access to quite a lot of spare parts, and a lot of this hydraulic stuff, particularly this is the sequencing valve down here, which is for the undercarriage door. So once the undercarriage goes up, that valve receives an electrical signal, moves, and then puts the hydraulic pressure to the inner doors. And we've had a bit of trouble with the one of them on the Tempest on the Tempest 2 recently, but we were able to just change it for another one because they're same as a Sea Fury.
Okay.
So the gear selector, if you watch the first takeoff of the Tempest 2, you'll note that the gear kind of goes halfway and then stops. And that is because this gear selector lever is a nightmare to use.
Really?
Yeah, so you have to rotate it, move it halfway, and then push the lever and move it the rest of the way, rather than being able to move the lever, the little latch, in advance. But normally, like in a hurricane or a
so you have to go halfway and then move it again and then
go the rest.
Okay.
But yeah, obviously mechanical. That's what I was talking about in the car. That's the mechanical release for the gear. So that will release your up lock.
Oh, I see.
It's a bloody 2-foot push though.
Really?
1 foot on it, other foot on it.
Yeah. So the back end, and then.
So this was just wet blasted, wasn't it? This hasn't been apart.
That's a.
Yeah.
You know, that's.
It was more of a statement than a question.
Yeah.
I know it hasn't.
Yeah,
so kind of the same as the wings. We would want to take these skins off and put them back on again.
Really? Okay.
Just to be sure, because we don't know.
Yeah.
If
you end up using the thing, all it is just it's off, cleaned up, and it's on.
Yeah,
okay.
It's easy, and we probably just do. We don't even need a fixture. We just take the top half off, clean the top half up, and then put them back on, and then take the bottom half off, clean those up, and put them back on.
Okay. So when this came here, this was separate.
Yep.
To get it into the container.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's normal.
So did Andy rivet this onto the top? They one screw.
I think so. Oh no, it could be. No, sorry, you are right. It is riveted right through, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, but at some point to get it back, I mean, would we want to drill it off and ship it that way? If we can get it in a container, would it be okay this way and you do?
Because I would rather leave it on.
Okay, well my guy, this is how it came on this. Right. And then Dave, my guy, made the stand here. Yep. And so when the motor got set on it, I think my guy did.
I mean, it's a very useful stand.
Yeah.
But it wants to obviously sit. I mean, if we had a tape measure, I could tell you, because a container doors, I think.
Yeah, well, that's too high. But if this comes off, it might fit in the deal.
That can't be too high for a container door. It just can't be.
Well, aren't they like 8 feet high? I'm 6.
we'll have to check. We can check it.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
what it probably needs to happen is we could always jack up the front of that mount.
But you would just as soon have it on there when it gets
I
shipped over.
would. We may well still need to take it back off.
Okay.
Just because I know all of this was done
Right.
to within an inch of its life. So I'm not fussed about looking at, I mean, I'll look at it obviously with a torch, but I don't need to look at it again.
Right.
But because we want to do the skins on this, it'll be a lot easier to pull that off to do the skins on that.
Right.
And it's designed to come apart.
Okay. Yeah, so here's the Tempest 2, you can see the similar, and of course here's the motor that I thought was the best one that you're telling me.
It looks great, doesn't it? I mean, it looks lovely. So, I don't know what that coolant header tank is from either, but it is my understanding that the Tempest has a completely annular coolant header tank all the way around. But anyway, we can
see here's the shotgun starter.
Yeah.
You know, the shells go in there.
Yep.
I mean, like I said, it'd be cool to be like having a Huck starter for the old biplane.
Well, it's great so interesting with the Tempest 2, we've had real trouble starting it with the starter motor because an electric motor just can't crank it like a cartridge can.
Really?
So we're always starting it with an external power source just to get the amps up to give it enough whomping to get it through.
Yeah.
I bet this is the same. I bet it needs a fast crank.
Well, considering you got like twice as many cylinders.
So it's going to need a fast crank to get it to go. But they're small cartridges.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have those made.
Yeah,
you just have them made. I mean, is that like, that's bigger than 12 gauge, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is great. I mean, this has got all the ancillaries on, which is really useful. You know, tach generator, air compressor, obviously.
So this stuff could all be used.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I like that idea.
And it's got a full set of spark plugs.
Of maybe cleaning this up and going and getting another spare other thing. Because even if we ended up with the cutaway, the museum would have a whole thing. They could still have pictures of the cutaway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, then they got a complete engine and we got spares. Is this thing here what this was over here?
Yeah, I think it is, isn't it?
Oh, so it is very different than the other engine.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yep. So, I mean, look, I have simply sent the photos that you sent me to the guy that I know knows.
Yeah, okay.
And it is him that has said that we'd obviously want both engines with the aeroplane to do the job. And then at some point we'll go, right, it's time, let's get rid of that one.
No, awesome. Okay, well, I tell you what, the fact that that other one is such a later engine, and they were 1,000-hour engines, and once you get it set up and it's running, it runs. I mean, that kind of puts a whole new spin on, because I just didn't know how reliable these things were.
There's your data plate there. That's maybe it's over 3.
But I couldn't find it on the other airplane.
Yeah. I'll go and have a really good look around it, just in case I can miraculously find it, but I do. It wasn't immediately obvious.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what I'll do. I'll get the guys maybe to pull that out and we'll get it into some more light.
That'd be cool.
And then we can walk around.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, okay.
That'd be
That would
really
be cool.
useful.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think the guys are over where all the parts are that were boxed up. So let's go and let's go check that out.